Hello, thank you for tuning in. You are tuned in to The Encourager, and as promised, we are continuing to move through the 10-year cycle, looking back on the first three of those 10 years, so 2014 to 2017, and Most High continues to have me share from my own journal, sights, sounds, visions, dreams of those 3 years. And so this is a very, I would say vulnerable, but I don't feel vulnerable because, I don't know. I'm well protected in what I'm sharing and what I'm doing. So again, thank you for tuning in. My name is Nehru, and this is The Encourager. Here, we are all about becoming our highest, purest, truest versions of ourselves, and we do that through recognizing the power within ourselves and recognizing the oneness and the connection, the unity with Most High, the universe, our angels, our ancestors, and we don't look outside to an external man or woman or religion for our spiritual well-being. Because looking to religion for your spiritual well-being is like, I'm going to go extreme. It's like going to a rapist for safety. Okay? That's what going to religion for your spiritual growth is like. Okay? Going to a murderer, a serial killer, for safety. That's what that is. Okay? So we pick up on 719. And again, I think we left off the other day on, I think it was journal post number 3. So this will be number 4. With some key things that happened in my life. Okay? I think is where I left off. Right? So 7/9/15, and so as you can see, so there's when did I post here? Okay, so that was 7/12, and I'm pretty good about writing dates. That's extremely important to me for synchronicity purposes, and then for references and looking back and that sort of thing. So 7 days between these writings. Again, I don't write in my journal every day because I don't believe it's necessary to just write down frivolous things like it was a good day. I don't think that's necessary. So anyway, thank you so much to all of our subscribers, new and those who have been here for some time, maybe a year. No subscription is older or subscriber has been with me for more than a year, but thank you because the channel started a year ago. And so thank you all, and I hope you're doing well and find something within what I share that is encouragement and enlightenment and helps to better strengthen you. Okay. So stop being poor. So the other day I posted something about debt. Okay. So that's a mindset, and there's all types of debt. You can have spiritual debt, natural debt, financial debt, mental debt, emotional debt, relational debt. You can have all kinds of debt. Okay. All right. And so I was asking myself at this time, how was I being poor? Or what thoughts was I having that when I was being poor? Again, during this time, I was 2.5 years into dialysis treatments. I was on dialysis for 4.5 years. At this time, I had signed up for my first college class since starting dialysis. Okay. And, one thing that I remembered. So you remember the other day, I had mentioned a lady. Her name is Carrie. She's part of our 30-something from the Rock of General Cinema. I'm getting all things all kind of from General Cinema in Altamont. Her name is Carrie Fong. Her birthday is 215. Okay. All right. And she was born the same year I was. Her birthday is 215. That was the same day I started dialysis. I think that's pretty sweet. She was also my prom date, my senior prom date. We were not dating. I don't know. I wanted to take a hottie, and she said yes. And the theme was Aladdin. It was the Aladdin theme for my senior year. Don't ask me why they said Aladdin. I guess that song and that whatever was hot with, oh yeah, A Whole New World. Now that's ironic. With Peebo Bryson and is it Regina? Peebo Bryson? Regina Bell? I can't remember. But yeah, that's what the theme of that was, of that prom was. So anyway, that just came to me when I mentioned her. I realized that 2/15 of 2013 was the same day that I started dialysis. So anyway, where am I at here? Okay, so first college class after starting dialysis. Yahweh, take me, keep me. Where the sun shines, and I purposefully spelled sun, S-O-N. And I was wondering about my adversaries. Who are they? You know, I was a much softer person back then. I was a much softer person back then, you know, because, yeah, the Incredible Hulk had not surfaced yet, and he is my favorite comic character, I guess you could say. I don't get into that, so if I say Marvel and it's not Marvel or something, someone might get upset. I have no idea which one it is. I don't know. I just know that that's my nature. That's my spirit nature, is the Incredible Hulk. So yeah, I just know that. Yahweh, as you have been faithful, you will be faithful. Yes, he is, and yes, he will be. Okay. Refining going on. You will be traveling and coming into a fortune. Hello. 7/26/15. I have another journal where I had, throughout the journal, evidently I was getting downloads, and I write in journals for years. They last for years, typically a few years. And in that particular journal, I was getting downloads like crazy throughout the time I was writing in that journal about me receiving checks. It was, yeah, interesting. Okay, so 7/29. Sometimes we're in the valley looking up at the mountain. Other times we are on the mountain well on our way. Then there are those times when we are on top of the mountain. Regardless of where I am in the journey, I praise Yahweh God the entire way. Okay? All right. And that really truly is my heart. Okay. And this is my mother. This is not my mother. This is my daughter's mother, Alexis's mother, and her name is Melinda. And she told me about a dream where her father passed, and we had great camaraderie. His name is Philip, and he's a hardcore man. He's in his mid-70s, and he still works like 8 days a week. He's in construction, and he's built many bridges in South Carolina and condos and all that stuff all over Florida and Louisiana, and he's done a lot in his time. I met him when I had just turned 17, January of 92. Yes, 92. And I hadn't been here 6 months. We were just going into our second semester at Lake Howe High School in Florida. And I met Melinda in the library through a mutual friend. And that kind of began our 4+ year relationship. And again, today, that's still the longest relationship I have, including 2 marriages. All right. So I'm definitely good for not being eager to be in a relationship today. And from that first one, I think it's interesting that when I was in Germany, and Martise, the woman that I did marry, because Melinda wouldn't leave Florida, the woman that I did marry, who again ended up leaving me for my sperm donor, she, if you don't know that story, go back to the old earlier videos. I do have videos speaking specifically and in detail about my polygamist father, right? And growing up in that, and he was also a minister. And so to me, he's in the same category as Reverend James Cleveland, right? Who was a homosexual, right? And he RAPED, the men that was in his choir. That's why he only had, or the majority of the people in his choir, the singers were males, because he was messing with them. He died of AIDS or HIV. And yet people praise him. I don't understand that. I don't get that. I would stop buying his music. I would stop listening to his shit on YouTube. I would not support somebody once I found out. I don't support Kevin. I don't support the sperm donor. Not in the least bit. I wouldn't send him a penny if I had $1 trillion. I wouldn't send him shit. I'm not supporting that, because you have to be aware of what you're sowing into. Okay? And I've become wise. Okay? So, yeah. Okay. But she had a dream that he had passed, and the service was in South Carolina, which is where they're from. They're from Beaufort, South Carolina. And I was there, and I did go there to support them in the dream, right? To my knowledge, he's still with us. I don't know. I don't talk to her, so, or any of their family for that matter. I'm right about the consequences, but my expectations are way off. I'm right about the consequences, but my expectations are way off. Very interesting. There was a trip, the people at the Rock of Central Florida and a couple of other people from churches that Steve collaborates with or in relationship with. They went to Kenya. So I wrote down the names of those who went to Kenya. And at that time in 2015, 8/24/15 is a new access. I love that Mamba. I love that Kobe. I love that 8/24. I love that. Okay. And again, that's my mentality. I don't know. I just can't help myself. I don't know what to say. So I had a dream on 8/25/15. I'm at a social function. Oh, Jamila Davila Unger now. So Joe Millie is someone, she was again one of the, I say young bucks. She was one of the young bucks, her and her former husband, Scott, from the 2000s, that were at the Rock or they became a part of I don't think they were there when I got there, but they became a part of the Rock at some point early on, before 2010 for sure. And he was one who played on our softball team, like way back when, some 15, 17 years ago. And he is now back at the Rock, remarried, and seems to be having a wonderful life. So kudos to him and his bride. And it was good to see him again after so many years. But at the time they were married, him and Joe Millie were married. Okay. So at the time, back in the 2000s, not in 2015, they were married. Okay. And they have a son, and the son, I believe, I don't want to misstate the diagnosis, but he's autistic. Okay. Thank you for giving me that right word. I wasn't sure what to say. Thank you, Spirit. And so yeah. So at a social event, and Joe Millie, again, she's now remarried and has other kids and so on and so forth too. She was, don't ask me. She was laying with me, hugged up. Surely this is symbolic. Yahweh, what is the significance of this dream? Okay, so Jomilia she had long left the Rock of Central Florida, and at this time in 2015, Scott wasn't a part of it either. Okay, so again, Most High I don't always understand the reason for him inserting the image of someone in particular. I don't understand that. But then again, for all I know, this might have been speaking to what Joe Millie was involved in. This may not have anything to do with me specifically. This may be something that maybe she was laid up with someone. You see what I'm saying? I have no idea. I haven't talked to her in I don't know how long, and I don't have communication with her or anything of that nature. Okay? Your sage is getting out of control. And yeah, I smudge multiple times a day, typically. So right now, it's simmering. The sage stick is over there, and it was kind of, I guess the wind was blowing, and it was kind of starting to get out of control. So, control the flames, right? Control the fire. Control the fire. Even me, control the fire. And so, being a Sagittarius Sun and a Leo Venus, there's a lot of fire. And so, yeah. So I'm not sure what that means, the significance of it. I don't know. Again, maybe that's what she was doing at that time. I don't know. I don't know if she had to be remarried at that time already, because I wrote down her married last name. So anyway, another dream on 8/26. I was so it was this journal. I wasn't sure if this was just this journal or the one I was writing, or the one I'm writing in now, or another one. I wasn't sure. I remembered that I had written down things at a certain point. So here's a dream on 8/26/15 where I was given multiple checks. The largest one was for $10,170. Okay. Wisdom is wasted on the backs of fools. Linda Ammons said that. Okay, Linda Ammons was someone who I was starting to court, but we ended up going separate ways, and she's, to my knowledge, I believe she's married, which happens often. Most of the time, the people that I leave shortly after me, they end up getting married. This happens so often. It happened with a woman at Fort Stewart who I was rejecting. I didn't want to be with her because I was in my I don't need a woman phase. And this wasn't a spiritual thing. This was my disappointment in women not appreciating who I was, right? And so I ETS'd or relocated, got restationed to Fort Stewart in Georgia, 3rd ID, baby, 3rd Infantry Division. And this lady sent her niece over to me at a gas station. True story, right around the corner from the house, right outside the base. Sends her niece over to me. I see them in the store. I'm going to get gas. And she sends her niece over to the pump where I am. And she says, my auntie wanted to know if she could have your number. And I kind of peek around the corner. I want to find out what's this? Right? And so I kind of look around the corner, like, sure. Right? So I give her the number. I already know what I'm going to do. I'm not interested. Again, I think I had just gotten back from a deployment. So I was gone for almost a year. So I think I had just gotten back from a deployment. And I knew already that I wasn't interested. Oh, no, I hadn't gone. No. Correction. I had not gone on a deployment yet. I literally got PCS'd from Germany to Fort Stewart. I was at Fort Stewart for 30 days, and I was back on the plane getting deployed. And I wanted that. I volunteered. I was originally on my way to Fort Huachuca, which is in Arizona. But I specifically wanted to I wanted to go on a deployment when I was coming back to the States. So I wanted to be, so I got my orders changed to be attached to the signal unit, because I was Signal at the time, a network switching systems specialist, 31 Fox. And I got my orders switched to be assigned to the unit at Fort Stewart, because I wanted to go, again, I wanted to go on a deployment, right? That's the kind of soldier I was. All right. So I told her, no, I'm not getting into a relation. I'm not interested in that. And I had military buddies that PCS with me from Germany, and they're like, what? Thomas, you better get on that. You better, boy, you better, what? You better. And I'm like, no. And I never did. I was gone. I got back. She was pregnant and married. True story. Okay. So, change my audience, I wrote down. And so this is so important. So recognize when you are casting your pearls before swine. Recognize when you are just throwing your blessings amongst the dogs that don't appreciate it. Okay? Recognize that. And then pull your energy back from those places, from those people. Change your audience. Okay? You change your audience, you change your power. Because when you get rid of those who are a threat to who you really truly are, you start to see more of who you really truly are. Okay? All right. Okay, on 8/29, there was a dream. Excuse me. Let's see. While sitting in a waiting room, a young male sits next to me. We strike up a conversation. As we are talking, I notice that he has hair that is uneven. Looks like a very bad haircut. Okay? He turns away, and I then notice white worms crawling throughout his head or his hair. I get up and go outside because that's making me squirmish, only to see that their worms are also crawling on me, on my arms. Right? I brush them off frantically, and then I wake up. Cultivate his word. Okay, so at that time, I was spiritually aware, but not spiritually awakened. I was spiritually sensitive, but not spiritually awakened. So I would get these downloads from Most High, but I couldn't put the puzzle pieces together. Okay, because religion, I was still functioning in religion part way. And so someone at this time, no doubt, was doing witchcraft against me, trying to send something to me. Okay? And that's what that dream was, right? Whatever they were trying to, I don't know, whatever illness they were doing witchcraft-wise or whatever, the sperm donor, Janet, whoever, Christina, Martise, it could be any number of them. Who knows? Okay? And so, yeah. So I'm certain that that's what that was. They were sending witchcraft towards me. 8/29, the money is yours. That was a word that I got. Okay? And again, this is 9 years ago. All right, so one of the team pastors at the Rock of Central Florida, his name is Gaston Glasgow. Okay, he is from Trinidad. Okay, now I've gotten downloads about people in Trinidad. I've gotten downloads about a girl named Gigi. Yeah, that's right. And I say it like that For those of you who don't know, because some of them are listening to my channel. That's why I say it like that. Okay. So Gaston, he calls me up front and he anoints my head and he prays for healing for me, right? I remember specifically, he was like, young man, I was standing in the back, listening and all of that. Sometimes I stood up, sometimes I would sit down. And there was the liberty at that place to do that. You could stand up or sit down. You could sit on the floor if you wanted to. It didn't matter. Steve encouraged that. And so I remember him calling me up, and I remember immediately after he prayed for me, Holy Spirit said, don't have anybody else pray for your healing. He said, you don't need any more prayers for your healing. Okay? The transplant didn't happen until 2 years later, but he told me, don't have anybody else pray for you. You don't need anybody else to pray for your healing. After Gaston prayed for me. And I did not have anybody else offer. No, you don't need to pray for me. No. Well, I'll pray for you. You don't need to do that. Okay? He literally told me as I was walking back to wherever I was standing, don't let anybody else pray healing for you. Okay? And this is why I wrote, what are all the purposes for Gaston anointing me? Okay? Right? And so, yeah. Elijah Faith, it was something that a lady named Curleen, I'm not going to show her last name, Curleen spoke. And so, well, I will. It doesn't matter. Yeah, and I don't remember specifically what she said, but yeah. I remember Holy Spirit showed me one time about stem and keys. That's like Kim and Steve's son Joshua. Okay, they have one son that they had to sow into the ground shortly after birth, and then Most High blessed them with Joshua. And I remember this particular Sunday, it was a Sunday, and I don't know what Joshua was doing. Steve might have had him sharing something, saying something, I'm not sure. He didn't like the spotlight, he didn't like doing that stuff, but, his his dad would push him out of his comfort zone, I guess. But I remember I saw Josh's legs one day. And he works out, and he's a fit young man, and that today I remember seeing his legs back then, and Most High showed me that they were brass or iron, and really, really strong legs, and he is that today. This is 10 years ago, and back then he was still fairly skinny kid, but that's what Most High was showing me, Today he's definitely, he would have no problem entering amateur bodybuilding contests. He's that fit today, at least the last time I saw him. Okay, so my illness, the illness, IgG4, see how I disassociated myself with that? It said my at first, and then I said the, okay? And so what I represent based on Tamara's revelation. So I'm going to share what Tamara shared with me. So at this time, you've heard me talk about my friend Marcia Guerra. Marcia Guerra is the one who let me know about the rock when I was still in the military. Okay, Marcia started dialysis. Hers was due to the lack of care of herself. So she was a diabetic and she just simply did not take care of herself. However, synchronistically, Most High had her start dialysis 3 months after I started mine. I started mine in February of 2015. Here's what Tamara, she is still a part of the rock, her and her family and all of that. In fact, one of their sons is one of the team ministers, or whatever they want to call them, at the rock today. Okay. Tamara told me this in the elevator, or one day when we were going to see Marcia in the hospital in Sanford, Florida. She told me, she said, Most High showed me who you are and in regards to what was going on. And this is 2013. So during 2013, there was an exodus. There were teen pastors who took half the congregation with them. Okay, and they went to start another church. This is something that happens in churches. So they thought they could do it better. They left. So this is interesting. I'm just saying something. So Steve was in the Army. He went AWOL. I think it was Army. Might have been Air Force. I don't know. But he went AWOL. Okay? Never went back. Or never served again. I mean, whatever disciplinary action or whatever, and then that was it, right? So, and he went AWOL early, like out of AIT or out of basic training or something. And then Tom Weichart, who was a nurse to President George W. Bush, literally he was a nurse to President George W. Bush while he served in office. That's literally who he is, or who he was. He was his nurse. Okay? So, confirmation. They don't want this to be, they don't want this to be shared, but I'm sharing it. It doesn't matter. So Tom Weichart was President George W. Bush's nurse. Okay? When he got back, he was on staff at the Rock. Him, along with his wife, whose name is Denise, they got together with other team leaders at the Rock, and they decided they were going to go and start their own congregation, which they did in 2013. It is no coincidence that I started, based on what Tamara told me, and I'm going to get to that, I started dialysis that same year, and so did Marcia. Okay? Because we stood for something, and two different things at that time. And this is what Tamara told me. These are not my words. She told me, she said, this is what Yahweh told me about you and Marcia starting dialysis. She said, this is what this is. And she said, I was kind of afraid to say it because I don't want, she said, I didn't want her to get mad at me, she said, I don't want people to be mad at me or think, and I can understand that because it looks like she's doing me versus Marcia, which in actuality she wasn't. It was the spirit of the situation. So here's what she said. She said, Marcia represents, and Marcia had diabetes, and Marcia chose not to take care of herself for years. We dated for almost 2 years. She did not take care of herself. I didn't even know a year and a half. I didn't even know Marcia had diabetes until towards the end of our time seeing each other. I had no idea. And I only found out then because then symptoms started to get really, really, really bad. That's the only way I knew. Okay? But she didn't take care of herself. She was an amazing cook, and she would make whatever she wanted to, and she would eat whatever she wanted to. It didn't matter. Right? And delicious food. Delicious food. She actually taught cooking classes at the Rock for a little while. But she did not take care of herself. Tamara told me that she stands for the reluctant believer, okay? The one who is not taking responsibility for their actions, for their choices. She said, I stood for the righteous and the people who are sons and daughters of Most High. She's telling me this. These are her words. Okay? And I'm like, what? Really? Oh, and okay. All right. And so what I represent based on Tamara's revelation, the faithful. That's why I wrote that there. Okay, our faith, healing. Okay, Marcia stood for the people who had been bamboozled, hoodwinked, and led astray by Tom and his cohorts. Ironically, Steve has now invited them back into his house. So, personal thought. I will never, ever, 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 ever invite Saddam Hussein into my fucking house. I will never, ever, ever invite Hitler into my house. And that's how I see that, spiritually speaking. He came in, they came in, they were welcomed with open arms, and then they raped the Rock of Central Florida. And Steve let them back in shortly before I left. And I have no doubt that my spiritual awakening and getting out of religion and all of that, because I was really kind of tired of it probably 2 or 3 years prior to that. Tired of the 2 and 3 songs every week and a sermon like blah, 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 blah. You know, like yuck. Gag me. Right? Really? Because it had gotten so routine. Like yuck. Isn't there something else to life? Find out there are. There's a lot of books to life that were left out of the Bible that I've shared recently, right? So if you haven't seen that video, click on that link and read about the 75 books, right? 45 of them were found at one time in the 1940s. Find out about these books that man has hidden from you because man doesn't want you to know about your spirituality. They only put the religious things in there or the things that they could change to speak to religion to keep you confined. So they tell you pray to Jesus. That's not who you should be praying to. Okay? Why do you think Yeshua said, why do you stand here gazing up at me? Be about my Father's business. Don't be looking at me. I spent 33 years pointing you to him. Why are you standing here looking at me? I'm a joint heir. As soon as you ascend and get your ass up and do some work, you can be up here where I am. I'm not the God. I'm the ascended master. I came here to show you how you need to be. Okay? I'm an earth angel. That's why I'm here, to show you who you need to be, who you're supposed to be. That's what he was saying. I'm a light worker. I'm here to show you who you need to be. That's what he was saying. So stop looking up at me is what he was saying. But religion has us, certainly Christianity, has us looking to Jesus. No, 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 no. Jesus is your brother, not your God. Okay? Stop praying to Jesus. Do you pray to your siblings? So on 9/3, I reconnected with Katina. We did eventually end up getting married. That was not a wise choice. And I'll just leave it at that. Again, because she was non-supportive. And so again, for me, the majority of my hiccups have been due to relationships with women. Okay? Because I did not know how to control my unconditional love. Today, thank God, I am so much wiser. Okay? So, yeah. So, we did end up getting married, but again, it didn't last 3 years. Because once she decided, there were other indicators, once we got married, she decided she wasn't going to be a part of the Rock. I really truly believe that she was really only hoping for a child because she was getting older. She's 2 years older than I am. She really was just wanting a child. Okay? I really do believe that. Okay? She told herself when she was a teenager, she was never going to have a child unless she was married. She did good for that. I don't know too many 40-plus year old women. She was 40-something when we got together. I don't know how many 40-year-old women can say that and they stay committed to that. I don't know. And still have relationships. Okay? But she did. Come to find out, there were issues as to why she could not actually get pregnant. And we tried a number of different things, and but it just never was, because it wasn't meant to be. Because Most High was protecting me, because he knew that's all she wanted. All she wanted was a little brown girl. And then she could dismiss me and hit me up for child support, and I'd be paying out the ass for the next 18 years. That's really what she wanted to do. And I truly believe that. If you're listening to this, Katina, that's really what I truly believe. And I say if you're listening to this because I did tell her before I cut off communication what the name of the channel was, right? And And I was still helping her out. She suffers from migraines. I was giving her prednisone for her headaches because that was the only thing that would help her. Because the military was sending it to me, but I didn't use it. Okay? The VA, not the military. And so 924:15, with change comes opportunity. How very, 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 very true that is. Okay. On 927, that's a 3. 927. We're going to Pittsburgh to confirm no kidney transplant needed. And that's what John Gluen told me. John Gluen, again, was a individual who's a part of the Rock of Central Florida. He passed. Before he passed, he gave me a shirt. And I only got rid of that shirt when I got rid of everything that I had when I moved out from Deltona, Florida. I got rid of everything. Bed, car, motorcycle, because they did witchcraft on it, and they weren't running anyway. They sat in the driveway for a year because they wouldn't run because of the witchcraft that Scorpios and whoever else was doing, right? I had an uncle that lived in Deltona. I didn't know that, right? All of these people, I found that out shortly before I left. All of them, right, doing witchcraft against me, together or separately, however. Okay? So on 928, travel to Pittsburgh for a pre-transplant examination, okay, and blood work and all that sort of thing. Your power is in your ability to decide. How very, very true. So most of us stay neutral or undecisive in our choices, and so that way we end up, and in that way we end up being a ping pong ball, and we're just knocked around until we say, whoa, wait a minute, I'm not playing games. Again, pun intended. I'm not playing any games anymore. Okay, so your power is in your ability to decide. Decide what? Decide firmly the road you're going to take. Decide firmly the friends you're going to keep and the friends you're going to remove. Decide, and they're not friends if you're removing them, okay? Decide which path you're going to take, religious or spiritual, and you stick to that. If you want to be religious, by all means, continue to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, okay? For me, that's not the way. And I would do what I do if no one listened and I didn't have YouTube to get my message out or to get Most High's message out. It's not my message. Excuse me, burp. It's not my message, okay? 10-15, and then I'll stop at the end of this page here. 10-15, purchased an engagement ring, right? So that was fast, right? One of the things, my daughter, who, when she came to me and her mother and told us that she was interested in females and not males, I think she told us this when she was a teenager. And of course, me and her mother, okay, well, yeah, we love you regardless, whatever. But between us, me and her mother, honestly, we felt like, to my knowledge, even still today, she's still a virgin in that regard, to my knowledge, right? And me and her mother were just like, yeah, maybe it's a phase, we're whatever, right? We loved her regardless, right? And to my knowledge, today she's with someone from North Carolina, I believe North Carolina, and yeah. So ironically, her and Roxanne are involved with someone from North Carolina. The transvestite that Roxanne was involved with is from North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina specifically. I'm not sure where Alexis's partner is from. And so on 10-8-15, something was purchased with a price. Okay? And everything is purchased with a price. Okay? And so thank you so much again for tuning in to this journal journey, I guess. I hope, again, wherever you are, that you enjoyed, whatever it is that I'm sharing. Again, perhaps something that I've said here has been encouragement for you. I'm not sure. Again, I'm just being obedient to what Most High is leading me to do. Okay, and so next time we'll pick up on, looks like 10:8 as I turn the page. 10:8 is the next journal entry. Okay, so thank you so much again for tuning in. My name is Nehru. You've been tuned into The Encourager, and know that as you diligently seek, you will find. Okay, as you knock, the doors will be open to you. Okay, and when you ask, you will receive. But you're not asking and praying to Jesus. Thank you, dog. You are praying and asking Most High, Divine Source, Yahweh God, the Creator of heaven and earth. That is the deity that you are speaking to and you are praying to, not Jesus, not Yeshua. Okay? Thank you so much once again. This is The Encourager, and as always, be encouraged. Talk to you soon.